Men over 50. I know you're tired of the urine dripping that embarrasses you and the swelling of your prostate. You've been told you need complex medications, or maybe you're considering invasive procedures. But let me tell you a simple truth that's often overlooked in the conversation about prostate health. You're drinking water wrong. Proper management of benign prostatic hyperplasia or simple prostate inflammation doesn't always require an entire pharmacy. Today I'm going to reveal the 7 exact tips on how to drink water to reduce prostate inflammation and, yes, eliminate that annoying post-void dribbling. Your prostate will thank you deeply. I'm Dr. Theodore Chambers, and with more than 2 decades of clinical experience, I've seen how small and seemingly insignificant changes in daily routine can generate a monumental impact on my patients' lives. Hydration is the foundation, the silent cornerstone of your urinary well-being. Before we dive into the 7 secrets of hydration, leave me a comment telling me what country you're watching from. It's important for me to know how far this message of hope and simple science reaches. I had a 60-year-old patient, let's call him Mr. James, from Chicago, who was completely resigned to the dripping. His wife had placed small towels on the car seat and at home, and he told me with palpable sadness, "Doctor, I thought my prostate was a lost cause. I'm always afraid to stand up and have people notice this uncomfortable dripping." He had tried expensive supplements and had restricted his fluid intake for fear of urinating. My patient's mistake was that he was drinking water incorrectly, and the restriction, far from helping, was concentrating his urine, which irritated and in fact inflamed the urethra and prostate even more. His change was radical when he implemented the hydration technique I'm going to share with you. In just 3 weeks, the dripping disappeared by 80%, and his urgency reduced significantly. This case shows me time and again that the most effective medicine doesn't have to be the most expensive. Now let's move on to what will really transform your urinary experience. Here are the 7 hydration tips I use in my practice to reduce prostate inflammation. The first tip is slow and steady intake. The programmed sip. Most men with prostate problems tend to drink a lot of water at once when they feel thirsty, thinking they're compensating for dehydration. However, this is a fatal mistake for a sensitive prostate. When you ingest a large amount of liquid quickly, the body perceives it as a flood. This saturates the kidneys and orders them to process and eliminate the excess at an accelerated speed, resulting in a sudden filling of the bladder. A bladder that fills quickly exerts excessive pressure on the enlarged prostate, which is already obstructing the outflow. This excess pressure aggravates the sensation of urgency, increases frequency, and can exacerbate dripping due to sphincter overload. The solution is to take small, frequent, and programmed sips throughout the day. Imagine that your goal is to maintain a constant flow, not a hydration shock. 1 sip every 10 or 15 minutes is ideal. This allows water to be absorbed efficiently by the intestine and distributed gradually to the cells, keeping urine diluted but without overloading the bladder. Continuous dilution helps reduce the concentration of toxins and irritating compounds in urine, decreasing direct inflammation on the prostatic urethral mucosa. The second tip is the morning loading rhythm. It's crucial that most of your daily fluid intake occurs in the first half of the day, ideally between the moment you wake up and 2 p.m. The goal here is simple: to take advantage of metabolism and daytime activity to process liquid while you're awake and have easy access to the bathroom, thus minimizing the need to urinate during the night. A phenomenon known as nocturia. Nocturia is one of the most debilitating symptoms of prostate hyperplasia and is often due to late fluid intake. By loading your hydration in the morning and midday, you give your body enough time for the kidneys to filter that volume and for the bladder to empty several times before going to bed. This allows urine production to naturally slow down during sleep hours. In addition, adequate morning hydration sets the lymphatic system in motion and helps eliminate waste products that have accumulated overnight. which has a direct and positive effect on reducing general inflammation, including the prostate. The third tip is the rule of the 2-hour pause before sleeping. This is perhaps the most important tip to combat nocturia, that annoying nighttime awakening that interrupts your sleep. You must cease all significant fluid intake at least 2 hours before going to bed. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., your last programmed sip should be around 8 p.m. The key word here is significant. A small sip to take medication or moisten the mouth doesn't count, but avoid drinking a full glass or infusions. The mechanism is physiological. The water you consume takes time to be absorbed, reach the blood, be filtered by the kidneys and accumulate in the bladder. By implementing this 120-minute pause, you're giving your urinary system a sufficient time window to perform one last, complete voiding before you go to bed. This ensures the bladder is as empty as possible at the start of sleep, allowing the antidiuretic hormone that naturally increases at night to do its job of concentrating urine without overloading an already full reservoir. The result is deeper sleep and reduced pressure on the prostate during rest hours. The fourth tip focuses on the ideal water temperature, lukewarm or at room temperature. Contrary to popular belief that cold water is more refreshing, consumption of very cold liquids can have a vasoconstrictive effect, that is, the narrowing of blood vessels in the digestive tract. In addition, the body must spend energy to bring that cold water to body temperature, which can cause a slight thermal shock to the system, especially if the urinary system is already sensitive. In the context of prostate inflammation, cold water can paradoxically increase urinary urgency in some people, as the cold can stimulate the detrusor muscles of the bladder. Lukewarm water, or water at room temperature, on the other hand, is much gentler on the system. It's absorbed more easily by the intestine, slightly accelerates digestive and renal function without causing stress, and facilitates smoother and more constant diuresis, or urine production. Consumption of lukewarm water throughout the day can also help relax the smooth muscle of the bladder, which aids in more complete voiding, and therefore reduces post-void residual that exacerbates dripping. The fifth tip is the importance of the first drink of the day. As soon as you get up, before anything else, you should drink a full glass of lukewarm water, following the programmed sip rule. Not all at once. This not only rehydrates your body after hours of sleep, but also functions as a gentle yet powerful stimulus for the intestine and renal system. During the night, the body enters a state of slight dehydration, concentrating toxins. By drinking water in the morning, you're immediately diluting those concentrated compounds and signaling the kidneys to start filtering. This initial flushing flow helps clean the system. Morning urine is the most concentrated of the day, and diluting it quickly reduces the time irritants spend in contact with the prostatic urethra. This practice, performed consistently, improves bladder function and ensures your hydration begins with a cleaning base, which is fundamental to reducing chronic inflammation in the pelvic area. And here comes a clinical testimonial that demonstrates the power of this simple technique. The secret is in balance. I'll tell you about my patient Michael, 72 years old, from Boston, a man who was desperate about nighttime awakenings. He told me, "Doctor, I get up to 4 times. I don't rest, and during the day, I have this constant dripping that makes me feel like an old man." Michael had restricted his water to the point of having very dark urine. He was able to cut his nighttime awakenings in half, from 4 to just 1, and the post-void dribbling almost disappeared just by rigorously applying the rule of the 2-hour pause before sleeping and the morning loading rhythm. His bladder and prostate were finally working in an environment of peace and water balance, not in a constant state of stress. The solution wasn't a medication, but a change in the when and of his water intake. The sixth tip is the focus on quality, filtered and pure water. Not all water is equal, and the quality of water you drink directly influences cellular health and renal function. Tap water can contain traces of chlorine, heavy metals or disinfection byproducts that in the long term can act as low-level irritants for the entire urinary system. Constant consumption of low-quality water forces the kidneys to work harder to filter these impurities. For the inflamed prostate, each small additional workload can exacerbate the situation. Use of a quality filtration system, whether an activated carbon filter or reverse osmosis, ensures that the water you consume is as pure as possible. This optimizes renal function, reduces exposure to chemical irritants, and allows water to do its main job: hydrate efficiently and serve as a solvent to eliminate metabolic toxins that contribute to inflammation. It's the purest version of medicine. The seventh and final tip is monitoring urine color as a dosage indicator. This is your personal hydration traffic light. The goal is to maintain urine color in a pale yellow tone, similar to very diluted lemonade. If your urine is dark yellow or amber, it's an unmistakable sign that it's too concentrated, which means you need to increase water intake immediately, always with the programmed sip technique. Very concentrated urine is highly irritating to the urethra and inflamed prostate. Chronic irritation can perpetuate the inflammation cycle. On the other hand, if your urine is completely colorless, almost transparent, you're drinking too much and could be overloading your kidneys and potentially diluting essential electrolytes, in addition to saturating the bladder. The pale yellow color indicates the right balance point, enough dilution to minimize irritation, but not so much as to provoke urgency or excessive frequency. This constant monitoring allows you to personalize your daily water intake according to your metabolic needs and environmental conditions like heat or exercise. Now let's talk about the 5 major mistakes I constantly observe that undermine all efforts to improve prostate health through hydration. It's crucial that you avoid these habits if you seek to reduce inflammation and eliminate dripping. Mistake number 1 is the one I've already mentioned, but it needs to be emphasized: consuming a large amount of water at once. This hydration shock instantly overloads the bladder. The bladder muscle or detrusor reacts to this rapid filling with involuntary contractions that manifest as urinary urgency. In a man with prostate hyperplasia, where the urethra is already partially obstructed, this urgency can be uncontrollable and is a direct cause of post-void dribbling and, in severe cases, urge incontinence. The key, I insist, is consistency and slowness. Mistake number 2 is drinking liquids that dehydrate, thinking it's hydration. Many men consume coffee, black tea, or alcohol throughout the day, considering them part of their fluid intake. However, these substances are diuretic. Caffeine and alcohol stimulate the kidneys to produce more urine, resulting in greater fluid loss than consumed, leading to net dehydration. This not only concentrates toxins in the urine irritating the prostate, but the diuretic effect of alcohol in particular relaxes the smooth muscle of the bladder and urethra, which can weaken control and significantly worsen dripping. Restrict these drinks to a maximum, or at least if you consume them, counteract each portion with an extra glass of pure water. Mistake number 3 is not drinking enough for fear of urinating, which concentrates toxins and inflames the prostate. This is a very common cycle of fear and consequence. Men with symptoms of frequency or urgency drastically reduce their fluid intake to avoid going to the bathroom. The problem is that this restriction makes urine extremely concentrated, loaded with salts and waste products. This concentrated urine is a direct chemical irritant to the bladder lining and prostatic urethra. This constant irritation perpetuates and often worsens prostate inflammation. Paradoxically, drinking the right amount in the right way dilutes the irritant and calms the system. Mistake number 4 is ignoring incomplete voiding and not performing double voiding. Prostate hyperplasia often prevents complete bladder emptying, leaving post-void residual. The mistake isn't the retention itself, but not doing something about it. If you drink correctly, but always leave residual urine. That urine stagnates, increasing the risk of infections and causing the bladder sphincter to fatigue, which is the main cause of post-void dribbling. The solution is double voiding. After urinating, wait 30 seconds, lean slightly forward, and try to urinate again. This can release that residual that, when stagnant, only irritates the prostate and maintains the inflammation cycle. Mistake number 5 is relying on juices or sugary drinks to hydrate. Many commercial drinks promoted as healthy, like processed fruit juices or sports drinks, contain high amounts of sugar, preservatives, and sometimes artificial sweeteners. High sugar consumption is directly related to systemic inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation is the engine of benign prostate hyperplasia. Sugary drinks, instead of calming the prostate, exacerbate it by introducing an inflammatory load. The only source of pure and non-inflammatory hydration is simple, quality water. The final analysis. This hydration technique is the foundation for managing prostate symptoms. It is, in fact, the cheapest and most accessible medicine to reduce inflammation. The reason these 7 tips are so powerful is that they attack the root of the urinary discomfort problem. Prostate hyperplasia isn't just a problem of physical growth, but of how that growth interacts with the urinary system. By implementing the programmed SIP, morning loading and nighttime pause, you're not shrinking the prostate, but you're doing something much more effective in the short term. You're taming the bladder and reducing the irritating load on the urethra. You're creating an internal environment in which urine is less concentrated, bladder filling is gradual and not abrupt, and nighttime pressure is minimal. This balance reduces bladder muscle spasticity, decreases urgency, allows voiding to be more complete, and therefore eliminates the physical cause behind annoying post-void dribbling. It's an elegant and physiologically sound strategy. I want you, like my patient Robert from Philadelphia, to experience the tranquility of free flow. Robert came to me with tremendous anxiety about every road trip or work meeting. He thought the solution was surgery. I asked him for a commitment of just 4 weeks with these 7 principles. At the end of the month, he had not only reduced his dripping to insignificance, but told me, "Doctor, it's not just the dripping, it's the peace. I no longer have to plan my life around the next bathroom." His prostate hadn't changed in size, but the quality of his life had made a 180-degree turn. Remember, the power to start healing is literally in your glass of water. The solution is in your hands. If this video has opened your eyes to the correct way to drink water, give me a like. Share this crucial information with another man over 50 who is suffering in silence with dripping and urgency. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Here we're building a community of men who take control of their prostate health without shame, only with real knowledge. I'm Dr. Theodore Chambers, and your prostate can reduce inflammation with these 7 simple tips on how to drink water. See you in the next video.